This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Rameca Vincent Leary and welcome to this edition of Pensacola State Today. Whether you spike the ball in volleyball, hit a home run in baseball, make a slam dunk in basketball, or get a hole-in-one on the golf course, sports have always had a commanding presence at PSC. In honor of the student athletes, advisors, coaches, game officials, and volunteers who have given it their all, the college is proud to honor those who were inducted into the Inaugural Athletics Hall of Fame a short time ago. These 10 inductees have a rich history, and we're excited to hear more about them. As we start the conversation, I'm happy to welcome Bill Hamilton, Director of Athletics, and Hailey Lotz, Coordinator of Booster Operations. This has been a long time coming, right, Hailey?
Yes, it really has.
So where did the idea to start a PSC Athletics Hall of Fame originate?
Well, as much as I would like to take credit for the Hall of Fame idea, I really can't. This was, like you said, a long time coming.
Long time.
You have such a rich history here in the athletic program, and Bill has had this idea for many years, and I think to give credit where credit is due, this past year, Dr. Meadows, the president of PSC,
Yes.
He gave us the green light, and he said, I want to get behind this 100%. I want this to be done well, and I want the Booster Club involved. And so we went from there. The Booster Club got involved. Bill and I spearheaded it, and it was a lot of work, but it was fantastic.
Yes, so Bill, for the viewers out there who don't know all of the sports that have been offered over the years from Pensacola Junior College to Pensacola State College, let's just talk about the different types of sports first.
Okay, well, we currently have 6, men and women's basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, and we just added women's cross country. In the past, we've had tennis and golf and
Volleyball?
well, we had we did have volleyball a long time ago. Then it disappeared, and it came back. When Title IX came out, that sort of dictates what we do. And to pat Dr. Meadows on the back, when you're trying to build something like this, Hall of Fame or any sport, there's so many roadblocks at our level, and it takes a president that's behind it 100% to get it going. So the Hall of Fame, women's cross country, both of those were given the presidential push, so to speak.
Well, we like that. Now, Hailey, this is no easy feat by any standard, right? So we know that athletes have been honored in other communities, and as a jump start to that, this is our first class, inaugural. We must start somewhere. From the rings to other things that were disseminated at the induction ceremony. Bill, let's just talk about some of those things, how the school decided to actually put this together as far as what would be done. We know that there was a ribbon cutting, right?
Yeah, for the actual display, that was part of the thought process and the work leading up to that day. But when you start from scratch, you have to do the policies and procedures and the nomination forms. I mean, that's a big part of it. It takes a lot of work. Then you get to how are we going to honor them? How are we going to permanently honor them? And what's the ceremony going to look like? Are we going to have a dinner and a banquet, or just send them an email? How are we going to do this? And so that took a lot of work. But Hailey and what she's really good at is in-game stuff. We knew everything we did had to become a tradition, so we couldn't start and do it okay, and then the second year do things like we should have done year one. We had to do everything.
Spectacular from the start.
That's right, because it needed to stay.
Yeah.
And I think that we hit the nail on the head. She had some great ideas. We did a lot of things that were unique from the Hall of Fame researchers that we did.
Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. So Hailey, nominations for this inaugural class, getting the word out, and as Bill said, that can be a little hard.
Yes.
But I would say that the success rate was great.
Yes.
Did you have any people that actually contacted you personally and said, hey, we're excited to know that this is happening at PSC? And thank you, Dr. Meadows, of course, if you said, Bill, for giving you the green light to do this.
Yes, we had several people that they had been waiting for this news for a long time. To say that we were the only ones that wanted it to happen would be a false statement. We've had former coaches that are still in this community that have a rich history here. So excited to hear about it, excited to hear about the potential of their players being in it, people that they worked with. And so we did start getting feedback, whether it be email or phone call. People were just ecstatic to hear the news. And then I think they were even more excited when we pulled it off and how we pulled it off. I think they were just blown away by what we were able to do in such a short amount of time.
So anyone in the community could nominate someone.
Yes.
So it didn't necessarily have to be anyone affiliated with Pensacola Junior College or Pensacola State College. It could be someone out in the community.
Could. And we have a booster executive committee made up out of our booster club. And they presented also some, and they were the ones that voted on the class.
That is exceptional. Hold that thought. We'll find out more about the inductees in just a moment. But folks, as we head to break, take a look at these images from the February 2019 historic ribbon cutting for the Athletics Hall of Fame held in Hartselle Arena. It was quite a sight to behold, one filled with much emotion for the inductees and their families. We'll be back right after this.
1, 2, 3, cut it. Look out. Yay!
Hello, everyone. During this segment, we'll focus on some significant aspects of the 10 Athletics Hall of Fame inductees. We're glad to welcome back Hailey Lotz, Coordinator of Booster Operations, and Bill Hamilton, Director of Athletics. Bill, give us a brief overview of the 10 men and women who were honored in this special way.
Well, this first class was important that we get it right. We think we did. We got the 3 national championship coaches, Bob Marlin, who I talked to today, Mary Bailey, and Jim Donovan. And then we went with some special contributors. We got Dr. Bill Brantley, we got Bill MacArthur, and then we went with players we felt that either had a significant impact in the community or significant impact in their sport. And we got Joel Anthony, Greg Litton, Charlie Fairchild, and Dana Gilmore.
Speaking of Dana Gilmore, the most decorated female athlete in our history.
Yeah, she had an advantage. She was playing 2 sports, but she was the best in both of them that
Double
she played.
dipping.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that, right?
that's right.
So let's get a little particular here regarding what they received. Let's talk about some of the items. I noticed that there's a box right
I think
here.
that, this is probably one of the highlights. This is the ring that we give each inductee
Beautiful.
from Johnston's. Thank you. Well, I designed that with their help.
Okay, with their help.
Yeah, and that took a while, and they were the last things in, so it was kind of a nail biter there. And we do a plaque. We have I know you guys are showing the ribbon cutting.
Yes.
And we have nice plaques on polished wood panels out in the lobby. They each get one of these framed, which announces it.
That is nice.
I think you're showing that too.
Yes, we will.
They get a picture, a framed picture of all the inductees. We had a nice dinner for them between men and women's basketball games out on the floor, and a lot of press coverage. But yeah, we really did overwhelm them, I think.
And there may have been some tears of joy. Hailey, am I correct in saying that?
Oh, absolutely. Whether they were being inducted themselves or even we had a few that their family members were there representing for them. I mean, the emotions were high. It was a long time coming, and I think you could see, how delighted they were and how honored they felt. And it felt really good being a part of the planning process to see them walk through the receiving line and hear them, be inducted into the Hall of Fame officially, stop for their photo, and then be received as the first, inaugural class of the PSC Hall of Fame. So
walking that red carpet with their families. Nice photo op, right?
Yeah.
And Dennis Lindsay took time out from his job as a Utah general manager, Utah Jazz, and the NBA to bring his wife down. So it's evidently was special to them too.
So he was PSC's, Pensacola State's first full-time assistant coach, coaching men's and women's basketball, which, as you know, Bill, is my favorite sport.
That's right.
So let's talk about some of the family members. And did they have a chance to speak as well? Maybe not say much, but I'm sure the inductees spoke more so than they did. But even after the ceremony ended, what did you hear from others?
Well, a lot of gratitude. There was a lot of thanks. Some family members of the inductees thanked me multiple times. They couldn't get over what a ceremony it was. They were just overwhelmed. We had a press conference about a week before. We had 2 or 3 of the inductees there. And I think that, between the marketing department and the athletic department, presidents, Dr. Meadows, I think that it was just well done. I'm not sure we can duplicate that in a subsequent class.
Hailey.
We'll try.
Round 2 in 2020.
That's right.
So let's talk about the community involvement, the faculty and staff, because in all honesty, many of the athletes here have mentors or study buddies, but I'm a faculty member myself, so I have students come see me all the time. But to make the grade, right, Bill? These coaches and others that were honored as the inaugural class hear a lot, don't they? Many success stories, Bill, right?
Yep. And we've got some of those mentors on our list for future Hall of Fames too. There's a lot of behind the scenes people that make this work, and Charlie Fairchild's one of them. I think he's going to be on later today.
Can't wait to hear from him.
Not only was he a 2-time MVP and played at Florida State, and he came back, got involved in professional basketball. He worked the radio for some of our games, and he's been a booster for over 40 years. So he knows what it's like being in the limelight and being behind the scenes.
All right, and Jim Donovan, I know we mentioned earlier golf, which we had at one time, but giving him some homage in the process.
He was one of everybody's favorites, and they won it in 92, 93, and came within a stroke of winning it in 93, 94. So he was almost a back-to-back national champion. And he was also an assistant AD. He was a good mentor to some of us when we were younger.
That's good to hear.
And then the other coach, Mary Bailey, she passed away many years ago. Her sister,
softball.
Her sister accepted on her behalf, and which she's done a couple of times, because Mary is also in the Florida College Systems Activity Association's Hall of Fame. And but Mary Bailey set the standard for coaching when it comes to winning, and she was in the championship game more than once. She won it in '88, and phenomenal record. And wonderful colleague, and we miss Mary, but she's her family is proud that she's been recognized and is in our Hall of Fame too.
All right, quite exceptional. Folks, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back in a moment. Hello, everyone. During this segment, we're glad to have one of the inductees, Charlie Fairchild, on set. What an honor. Plus, Bill Hamilton is sticking around for another segment. Charlie, how does it feel to have been nominated and selected as an inductee for the Athletics Hall of Fame?
Pardon me. It really was emotional, and it still is. I mean, it still is. Everyone, I think, in life likes to have something that they will be remembered for. And this, my great-great-great-grandchildren at some point in time may research me and say, oh my gosh, he was a Hall of Famer at Pensacola State. So it's a very emotional thing for me, and I apologize.
No, please share. I want you to take us back to the early days back then at PJC, but just take us back on that journey, your journey.
I've been fortunate my whole life. When there's a critical point, juncture in your life, I've had the right guidance, and I've selected or been able to select the right thing. I came to PJC at the time. I walked on. Buck Weaver, the assistant, the basketball coach at the Pensacola Goshawks, recommended me. I was fortunate I could do certain things. I played hard. I got a scholarship, and things just worked out very well. It was my accounting career started here. Bess Simons was the accounting instructor. I did well in that. I found that was my career, my paying career. But PJC, Pensacola State, was so critical in that juncture of my life that it brought me to where I am right now. It really did.
And I'm coming back to you in just a moment. Bill, hearing from him, the emotion in his voice, and I'm sure you run into this quite often, don't you?
Yes, you know, I was fortunate enough to be able to make all the phone calls and tell them that, hey, we are starting a Hall of Fame, and I'm happy to be the one to tell you that you're going to be in our inaugural class. And Charlie was one of those that was very appreciative right off the bat. You could tell they all were, but it's special to Charlie and special to all of them.
Let's talk about the national championship.
For Pensacola State?
Right.
Charlie had been a basketball supporter for
Right.
a long time, and I think part of the reason they do that not only help the kids but help the coaches achieve. And he was an integral part of that club that helped Bob Marlin win the national championship in '93.
Bob was an exceptional coach. He still is. He's still coaching, and he had a team that bought into his system, and he had some good players, obviously. But that was a year of everything fell into place finally for Pensacola State.
Yep.
You have also been on the air via radio back in the day, WCOA, and also WSRE TV when those games were broadcast. Give us a little snippet of history from that time.
The one thing I remember about radio was Don Priest was the WCOA. They did the radio broadcast. We played Vincennes College up in Indiana. This was back in the early days of PJC being good. And Don was a pilot, and we all flew up in his little airplane, snowing when we got in. It was cold, but we did the broadcast from Vincennes, Indiana, when the Pirates played up there.
And they're national champions this year.
Oh yeah,
They're still good. Yeah.
They were powerhouses back then.
You have a heavy hand with the boosters. Let's talk about that, because I know it is very important for people to take that step.
Every organization needs community support. That's part of how they become stronger. The boosters here provide the financial ability to do extra things, because the budgets for the college are limited for what they can do. The boosters then can make a few extra things available that cost money. And plus you get the advantage of being part of a successful organization. I mean, I've been part of the boosters for so long, I don't remember when it started. But
Hey,
it was a long time.
history.
Yes, yes.
Bill, I know that you're always thinking creatively along those lines, aren't you? You may even have people come up to you in the community and say, hey, I would like to donate either my time or other services to help the boosters. What would you say for someone out there who may be considering it?
Join the Booster Club. Call me. We'll get you in as a private booster or a corporate sponsor. We have many levels under both umbrellas. And if you'd like to be involved in a group like this and help select future Hall of Famers for Pensacola State College Athletics, then we can put you on that board. We have an executive committee that meets about every 2 months, and they are an integral part of what we're doing. Boosters and the booster committee.
Scholarship. I know that you mentioned that. I know when I was in undergraduate school, scholarship helped me out tremendously. So there are a lot of students out there who are going to be student athletes who are eligible for scholarships that may not know. Right, Bill?
Yeah, they're, you know, once you sign here, and not all of our sports are fully funded. That's what makes the Booster Club so important. They enhance those sports more so than the ones that are fully funded. And but once you're on a letter of intent here, you can get any kind of institutional non-athletic aid. Where we have to be careful is the guys that are not on scholarship, the walk-ons, if you will. To get institutional non-athletic aid, they have to be within our service district.
Good to know, and hold that thought. Folks, you may be wondering what you can do to support the Athletics Hall of Fame by nominating future inductees or volunteering as a PSC booster. We need your help. We'll have more information coming up in this break. Hello, everyone. During this segment, we'll focus on maintaining the legacy of the PSC Athletics Hall of Fame. To do that, we need you. I'm happy to welcome back Charlie Fairchild, one of the inductees, Hailey Lotz, coordinator of booster operations, and Bill Hamilton, director of athletics. Hailey, let's start with you. Have any nominations been made for the upcoming 2020 Hall of Fame class?
That's a good question. Yes, we do have a list ongoing, especially because, you know, when you think about your inaugural class, I think you have an overwhelming amount that you want to see in because of all the rich history that we have. So some of those rolled over, and they're going to be considered this year if they didn't make it into the inaugural class. So we do have that list ongoing, but we're always looking for more. I think Bill would agree with me. Our knowledge of the history that we have and the people that have come through our doors, it might be limited. There might be an older generation out there, especially that, you know, they know about that one person that just stands out to them. We want to know who that is, you know, because they're a part of PJC, PSC history. So we're open to hearing all nominations come forward. So.
Charlie, as a booster yourself, you may put a bug in a few people's ears. Hey, reminder, folks, go to the website and put your nomination in.
I think something is important. All they need is just a name. They don't need to have the bio on the person. They just need to have the name. That is correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that simplifies the process, because I know a lot of people know a person, but they don't know the history, and they, hey, I don't know the history, so I can't submit it. But just the name.
Bill,
And there's a discrepancy also in the numbers. The older generation only played about half the games of the newer generation, and I'm talking about the first 35 years versus the second 35 years. And so the numbers may not be there, but they may have outstanding credentials in other areas, like Charlie does, professionally. So we look at things not only just about what they did when they played here, but what they've done in the communities that they've lived in and the service that they've done, the life they've led after they were here.
That's a key element, because as we know, not only student athletes or coaches have been inducted into this inaugural class.
Yeah.
Vast array of individuals. Let's get back to you, Charlie. We want a huge push, just as Hailey mentioned, not only for those out there who would like to nominate someone, and please do, but we need help with boosters, right?
That I can't emphasize enough how important the booster clubs are, because of, well, one, it's maybe a little more emotional commitment that the person would have for the school, but it's also paying back to the school for what they have done for you and what the school's done for the community. So boosters are super important.
Hailey, specifically, break down what a booster could do, how they could donate, layman's terms.
A booster, first of all, I want to say, You know, a lot of people think that you have to be associated with athletics in the past. You have to be an alumni, or you know, you've had to have gone to school here, and that's just not true. Anyone can be a booster. There are different levels that you can sign up for. You can be sport specific. So you yourself, you're a basketball fan. You know, you can give directly to basketball. You can say, hey, this is my sport. This is the, you know, this is where I'm going to be attending. This is where I want my money to go. So it's unique in that. And right now I would say our women's sports are, you know, they're always needing help. Our new women's cross country, with them being brand new especially, we need the runners in the community to get behind them. And, you know, there's always a need. There just really is. So.
And under Hailey's direction, you know, our Booster Club is growing, our bottom line has grown, and but we need your time, your talents, in addition to your contributions financially. We've got that Booster Executive Committee that needs people in it, and they make decisions about the events that we have, and sometimes how we spend our money, and there's room for you on that board too.
That's right, folks. Can't forget about the proclamation. Give us a brief overview of that.
The Board of Trustees, one of the other things that we did for the inductees, in addition to all the gifts that I've mentioned earlier in this ring, was a proclamation by the Board of Trustees acknowledging the fact that on this day in history that they were inducted into our Athletic Hall of Fame. Beautiful piece.
I'm sure, and we will have that up. And the dinner, you wanted to give special thanks.
Well, we'd like to thank the people at Ale House for providing dinner. It was first class, had carving stations, and you know, they certainly nailed that, and they'll be back. Thank you, Ale House.
All right, and thanks to all of you for being with us for this show. This has been such a rewarding time, and I want to thank all of our guests for joining us. To find out more information about PSC Athletics, including the Hall of Fame, log on to the website athletics.pensacolaState.edu. I'm Rameca Vincent Leary. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep it locked in right here on WSRE, PBS for the Gulf Coast.